This is great. So I thought maybe we could just do kind of brief introductions and maybe why we're interested in participating in the Pride Subcommittee. And we have a couple of other members and they may pop in, over the next hour and maybe we make them introduce themselves too, but I'll start if that's okay. So I was excited to join the HRC this year. I volunteered for the past couple of events and it was great group of people. And I think overall the HRC's mission is so important in Wakefield. So, and then for Pride, I come from an LGBT family. My wife and I have been married for something like 16 years, feels like an eternity. And we have an 11-year-old son. And so this month is obviously really important to us. So anyway, Elizabeth, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Elizabeth Asenza. I am the clergy rep on the HRC, and I am the minister at the Unitarian Universalist Church, which is sadly the one with the falling down tower that is going to be fixed this year. I was interested in the Pride Subcommittee as a queer person, as a person who is always super invested in the intersection of queer stuff and faith, and making space for folks in our community, and for queering the town in general, and in particular for I'm cognizant as a white person that a lot of as a white cis person who is a relatively femme presenting woman, that queer spaces are really easily accessible and safe for me, and I have benefited from a huge amount of privilege of other people, and my hope is to create a more expansive space that draws the circle wider, and makes room for more people to engage and to participate. So that was an important subcommittee for me. My initial dream was to be able to pull together some sort of interfaith service for Pride, and I know that I don't have the capacity for that this year, so I'm just going to keep dreaming.
Maybe next year.
Maybe.
Hello, I'm Daniela Nedbalik, and joining the HRC meant a lot to me. So at the core of my being, sustainability is my number one passion. So I really care about the environment. The environment won't be, I feel like human rights and environmentalism go hand in hand. So that's why I joined the HRC. And then as far as the Pride Subcommittee, I'm an event planner. I play that role in my friends and family, and I like doing it professionally, but I've never done sort of town meeting level of events, not that I think that they're drastically different, but I think they are different enough that it would be great to get this experience. And then whatever else comes down the road as far as events, would love to just kind of have this as a base. I know that Pride Month is one of the events that the HRC has experienced throwing on, as well as a couple in January. So I thought this would be a good step for me to sort of learn who's who, how to do what, and what we can and can't do, because I'm still learning that as a new, just a commission in general member. And as a member of the LGBTQ community, I'm married to a male, and a lot of people don't really see me or just the group that I identify with. And I'm actually the mistress of ceremonies at my company's Pride Month. And a family member was like, couldn't they find someone gay to do it? And I didn't know how to come out to them and I didn't know how to answer that, because I was just I kind of looked at it with my husband and I was like, yeah, that's on you. Sorry, I totally put that on him. But it just makes me want people to show people that there are members of that community, could be right in front of you. They don't seem it. We don't wear it on our shirts. We don't have it tattooed on our foreheads, but we're there. And just to like make them aware, like, you know, you never know, and not to assume. So would love to just sort of become a better advocate in general. And I think this is a great team to be a part of, to help like learn from each other, because I think we're always constantly learning and growing. So it's a beautiful thing.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. I think you're absolutely right. I think we all sort of make assumptions. Even members of the LGBTQ plus community make assumptions when we should be really thoughtful about it. So I think it's a great point, and I'm so excited that you're an event planner. So so much to do. But anyway, it's great. So just a reminder for all of us, the Pride flag raising is June 1st at 6 p.m. I created like my own little event for friends and family. So, you know, to try and get a little more community involvement and people attending. I understand that it is okay for people to come and watch the flag raising. So I think it'll be great. It'll be exciting. Yeah. I also am picking up, I think this weekend from Maria, we have some, I think it's Philadelphia flag, small Philadelphia flags that maybe I'll bring with me to the flag raising, and maybe we can give out a number of them to those that attend. But I've never been to a flag raising here in Wakefield. Elizabeth, have you? Or Daniela, have you?
I have not. So I actually, I started my job in August of last year. So I have been to almost nothing in Wakefield because pandemic.
Wouldn't it be great someday for us to not have to say because pandemic? It does feel like that, right? So okay, it'll be a new thing for all of us, but I think it'll be a great event and it'll be a nice kickoff. So just a reminder. And then I thought I would sort of open it up. You know, I think for past events, what's been successful is a lot of sort of Facebook work, working with Kim Ring around, you know, sort of interviews and book readings and that kind of thing. And so if we're interested in doing that, I think for sure, like the diversity book team that came to our last meeting, they may be interested in working with us to sort of do some Pride book reading for this month. So I'm happy to kind of reach out to Molly and have that conversation. But I thought I would just kind of open it up. Does it make sense at the very least for us to do Facebook stuff?
I think so, because there's so many people that are on social media these days, and with all the community groups, it's just a great way to advocate what's happening, because unless you're going to say like the daily item, which I don't know how many people subscribe to it, I don't know what generations too, and then also like actively going on the town website, how do you know that these events are happening? So that's where I think going to social media at some point in time, I think it would be great if we got our student groups involved. So whoever our student representative is on the HRC, I think we should have her funnel, say like if the HRC can make a Facebook invite of or event page for the flag raising, so that way she can promote that into her school groups. Then we can get to the younger generations, because they're actually mostly on Instagram and TikTok these days that Facebook's phasing out. So just so that way we can broaden our reach, because I think we have a lot of young, eager students who want to get involved, and they just sometimes they don't know until after the fact. And I would hate for them to, anyone, especially of the community or allies, to feel like they were at a disadvantage for not knowing that the event was even going on. They didn't go. So definitely there. And then I had a question, Eileen, you had mentioned bringing the Philadelphia flags to the flag raising. Can we have like a little table? Do you want a table? Because I know that we have the flags, and there's also some pins if we have those left over that say Wakefield Pride.
I think
there's like a hand and the rainbows. And I have a quick like folding tables, like 4x4. So we could easily set that up if it makes it easier, rather than like carrying a basket. That way people can go, if they don't want to go physically next to another human, they can like go and grab a flag. I can even bring like a hand sanitizer pump if they want to do that, so that they can grab and go.
I think that's a great idea. There's also a tablecloth So I'll reach out to Maria. You bring the table, and we'll do that. I think I have a basket to put the pins in as well. So that's great. Okay.
Okay. And then I guess a question of the tablecloth, is it for like a 7-foot table, or can it be up for a foot 4x4? So that's one thing we'll need to
yeah, I'll find out.
We can just like fold it up, but in which case I guess, so if it's at 6, should we show up at like 5:30 or 5:45 to like prep?
Yeah, I think so.
I do know that there's a Gender and Sexuality Alliance at the high school. I don't think there is one at the middle school. So that might be like there. When I looked them up a little while ago, I found multiple contacts for like faculty advisor. My guess is that it has, like, keeping that up to date in all of the things that have had to happen this year hasn't been a huge priority. So there might be a couple of different faculty members to reach out to share information with students who might be interested.
Yeah, I'd be happy to take that. I can reach out to the high school directly and just say, this is what we're thinking about. Do you have, whoever your faculty advisor is, will you pass this message along? But also, can we have a conversation? Because I think it'd be great to make a connection in some way. I haven't been in high school in 100 years. And when I was, it was called the Gay Straight Alliance, which is so incredibly outdated at this point.
I think it still is in Wakefield. I just updated my language because I want to.
Yeah. No, but I liked that. I was like, let's use that. That makes a lot more sense.
I learned it from a friend who is a high school teacher, that like they kept the GSA initialing and changed it to Gender and Sexuality Alliance.
That's fantastic.
Which is so smart. Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite things about getting youth involved is that youth update language more quickly than adults do. And so they really have their finger on how to be as inclusive as possible, especially in our language. And I appreciate their leadership for that reason.
Yeah, I think that's great. Okay, so I will reach out to the high school and try and get to them today so that they can, get the word out for Tuesday. Can you believe that June 1st is Tuesday?
No. So soon.
So soon. Soon. The year is almost half gone. It's crazy. Okay. And then for Pride book readings, Daniela, have you met Kim Ring yet?
No.
Okay.
Is she involved with the library in some way?
No, but she's been involved. I think she was a member. Elizabeth, is that right? She was a member?
Yeah, I think she just rolled off. If I'm remembering correctly, Kim is the member. I might be wrong. I might be misremembering, but there is someone who wanted to stay on and missed the application deadline, but was eligible to remain on the HRC. And I think it may have been Kim. So I would expect that in a future year, she will cycle back onto the HRC. And I think she's still interested in being engaged.
She's great with, she worked on the Women's International Day. She did all of the videos for all of the Facebook posts. It was phenomenal. I wonder if, you or I or any of us want to reach out to her and just kind of have a conversation about like how to go about the Pride Month readings. Do we do them? Like, do I just set up my iPad and record myself? Like, how does that work? And Daniela, I mentioned you because I think you're part of the communications committee now, right?
Yeah. So we haven't had any like meetings yet, but if she did the videos, and I would expect that she's probably going to help still, like she would help if she wanted to. Yeah. Because that's definitely clutch to have like someone who can make those videos. That'll be way more engaging. So if I can find her email, I can reach her out that way. I know Facebook's not super reliable.
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
And I will say, oh, sorry, Daniela.
Nope. Go ahead.
If Kim doesn't have capacity right now, I have some mediocre video editing skills.
Okay.
I think is it's a thing I can do and I can make it look okay. And it is not a thing I do like I've been doing it professionally this year, but it is not a professional skill of mine. But I use a MacBook, and I like iMovie is really easy to use. And so I can certainly like do some video editing, and that's actually the kind of thing that like I have more capacity for this month. I have an insane number of I shouldn't use that word. I have a huge number of meetings this month. Like on the 1st, I've got a like annual meeting at 6 o'clock.
Oh,
so like dropping in things that I can do around other things is much easier for my schedule in June.
okay.
So I'm more than happy to do some of that.
That's good. And I don't know if there's any partnerships that we have with the library and making sure that the library has some books that they have in their curriculum, but also maybe that they would have as a suggestion, so maybe there's like a children's book that introduces gender and sexuality in a non-binary way, just something that we could do that partners with different communities. And then also we because it's sort of like it's like, oh, story time essentially, and it could be for kids and adults. It is one thing I think we could potentially do. And then there's the aspect of doing it on social media and just starting it, and we could do like a live event, or we can have it, and then I don't know how it works if you do a live event, if you can have it I think you can still have it recorded, and so people can reference it later on. So we could like have it say 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. on a weekday when kids would be open to reading or hearing it, and then maybe like a week later we cross promote it again, just so that way the efforts aren't missed if that initial time didn't work.
Are you thinking that the library would do the reading, or what were you thinking?
So in my hometown, the library is where we're able to host these sorts of events. So they would be able to advocate for the event, record it, or at least host it, or the book would come from the library. So if people want to read it or check it out, it's not like you'd have to go out and buy it yourself. So that way we are also accommodating those who may not be able to have access to anything virtually or in a store, but they can go in for free and get it from their library. So if we don't partner with the library, I would just see if whatever book we use is there, because then we can at least promote it to them and let them know, this is what we want to do. And they may even be able to help us in general, because they had to go virtual, but I don't know what exactly, other than the drive up hours that the Wakefield Library had to accommodate for the pandemic. But I know that they were doing a ton of stuff beforehand, because I think it was a couple of the library committee calls like before the election that I read, that I learned a bunch about the library. So it was great to learn that. That's the only reason why I bring that up, is because of my hometown. I don't know what it's like here so much, but it wouldn't surprise me if the operations are similar.
I think that we did not go through the library for other book reading events that the HRC has done. I think that it was just done through the HRC. I know that we, for past things, did purchase books. And I don't remember whether the purchase was with the intent of then giving them to the library afterward, or if we gave them away in the wider community, or what happened. I mean, my guess is that they were given somewhere and that they don't just like sit on a shelf unused now. But I would guess that like our fellow HRC members who have done things previously would probably be able to like give us some direction there, because they've done it, and they've done it several times this year.
Right.
I unfortunately didn't sit on any of the committees that did that, so I don't know the process, but that might be a thing to ask them, ask our fellow committee members about what was the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason I brought up Kim Ring through the process was I think that Kim was involved in recording all of that, but people were reading books in their homes with their children, so they were like community members.
Mm-hmm.
Daniela, it's actually kind of an interesting idea, because I think that the library just reopened again, right, to the public, or is about to at 100%. And so I wonder if there is a way for us to somehow partner with them. Maybe the recordings are done in the library.
Yeah.
You know, to bring people back to the library if they'd be open to that, and you know, families that would be interested in being recorded, reading those books in their, you know, lower library or whatever it happens to be. That might be kind of cool. So, okay. Book readings in the library. I'm happy to reach out to the library, just to email the librarian. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see what they say, and like maybe they'll have a point person that can help us ideate this.
Yeah, it's great. So I had another idea, and maybe there's a way for us to involve the kids at the high school. And it was around like a showing your pride day or showing your pride house or whatever it happened to be. I'm a little bit of an over decorator. And so we have maybe Christmas lights up all year. And we might decorate for every holiday. It's fine. But I wondered, like, would that be a fun thing for people to like put out a pride flag in front of their home, or decorate their front steps, or maybe we do it with just the kids in the high school, where they, you know, do a show your pride day and they post their photo on our Facebook page, and then, you know, they win a prize or something like that. Just a way for us to feel like we're a community again without doing like a big parade or big event. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's great. It was along the lines of what I was thinking is like Wakefield Pride. And you know, that could be like the hashtag. I know that there's different like that I'm happy that I live in Wakefield, but the Wakefield Pride, the buttons that we have, that's where I kind of got it from. And it could be an outfit, it could be how someone's doing their makeup, it could be chalk on the sidewalk, it could be a painting, it could be anything. It's like, show us your pride.
Yeah.
And we could give examples like decorating the house or putting a flag out, and maybe then like us within the HRC, if we have ideas that we're already doing, we can show them, and then get the conversation and the hashtag going. And yeah, I think definitely tapping in to the schools would be great, because then they can have fun with it too, especially if it's dressing up. They get to like show off their clothes in person, but then also in virtual too. It kind of gives them the sense of normalcy that was taken from us so long ago. And I think, you know, in my mind, it would be too bad that we can't have like a small walk around the lake, but I don't think that's possible. I'm pretty sure, like, even with all the changes, probably not a time for us to organize that, especially late notice.
I go back and forth a little bit. I have to be honest. I'm like, well, the governor's lifted all of these orders. Like, maybe there is a way to do that, but I think that there is a lot of anxiety still, and I'd hate for people to feel like they have to or they're missing out. But I have noticed some other towns are doing small pride events, and I think Stoneham is doing one maybe June 11th or something like that. So I mean, I don't know. There's a little bit of me that's like, wouldn't it be great if we just walked from, you know, the Armory or whatever, the Civic Center, down to the lake? But I don't know. Maybe it is too late. I don't know.
I do love the idea of being able to gather in person, and I don't know where. Daniela, I don't remember if you said you have children. I don't. I don't know where your family is, Eileen, on this, but I am still hearing from a lot of parents who are like, we're not going to anything because our poor children can't be vaccinated yet.
Yeah.
And I just am so weary of creating a big event that is in person and can't be multi-generational because it's not safe for children yet.
Yeah.
And that is my biggest stumbling block in terms of doing anything in person right now, is that I just hate to create events that aren't intentionally multi-generational.
Yeah. Still a little too soon.
Yeah. Maybe next year.
And I know kids are in school, right? So that is like, for many of my friends, that is like the big risk their family takes, and anything else that is not going to school is still off the table.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. Well, there's always next year.
We can probably spend some time scheming, right? And think, though, like in our own brains about what kind of thing we can do next year. I love that we've been doing all of these book readings, but I am so excited for a time when we aren't limited to what can we produce and video and share in that way. I'm excited for the times that we can get together and like think about things like a movie on the lawn and like a picnic and all of the other potential possibilities. Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. Okay. All right. Well, we've got some good things. What other ideas do we have? Daniela mentioned chalking, and it got me thinking about wondering if there's a way that we can encourage particularly like local, and I don't know what town expectations around this would be in terms of like us being an official town body, but it got me thinking about what if we created some sort of hashtag or encouraged some sort of chalking from local businesses. I know one of the things that I appreciate is getting an understanding of like which businesses think that like my humanity matters. And I certainly like the purpose of the HRC, right, is not to like call out or shame the businesses that don't choose to participate, but I think it is a boost and is exciting to see businesses that say like, hey, yeah, you're important, you're you as people matter to our community. And I think it could be a thing that goes beyond businesses, that faith communities could participate in if they choose to. I know mine would. We're ordering a new flag and updating our flags so that we match the progress flag that the town will have. I imagine that there are other faith communities that might do the same. I would bet that there are other small... Huh? I feel like we should, I mean, with all these ideas, like, should we pick a day and say, like, you know, put together a flyer that goes out to all the businesses and the churches, and, you know, to say like June 12th or whatever is, you know, Pride Day, and here are some ways that you can celebrate with us, with chalking and I don't know, hanging Yana's pictures in your window and doing those kinds of things. I don't know. What do you think? Yeah. I love that. I love that too. And I like the idea of that being prior to, I think the Juneteenth flag goes up on the 17th. Right. I think so. I want to be mindful of like, yeah. I wonder if there's a way to, this might be a thing that we reach out via the high school, that if there are things, or if there are like books, right? Because when there are books, there have been multiple book readings. If there are Black folks in the community that want to share books that are particular to queer Black stories, I think that the week of Juneteenth would be like a, I mean, I want to share those books all of the time, but I think what I want to be aware of is like not sharing like white stuff around Juneteenth, so that we are contributing to amplifying Juneteenth as a holiday, and encouraging folks to celebrate their own cultures and communities, and not detracting from that. But I bet there are folks who would be interested, and it doesn't feel good for me to be like, here, let me tell you this thing that you should do. But I think that's one of the places where, like, how do we reach out more broadly, and who can we reach out to and invite to participate?
I love that idea. That's great.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. And along the lines, I was thinking, you know, whenever maybe we can tap into the communications of things and on Facebook, and maybe like once a week come out with a post that shares the story of someone who's paved the way. And I have a couple in mind that they're all Black. So that way we're not overshadowing, and we can save them for like around June 19th. It could be like the last 3 if we do it once a week in June. I think technically in June we have, the way that the calendar lays out, 5 weeks. Let me just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we do. So you know, picking 5 people. It could even be 5 to 10. We could do like one on a Tuesday, one on a Friday or something. So that way we're like promoting, educating people who, you know, are either still with us or gone, but, you know, have made it so that way we can celebrate. And that way we're also educating in a, like, you don't have to attend anything manner. It's like, you can read this and scroll, or you can just scroll. You do you.
I love that. And as you were talking, it made me think, so Hulu keeps advertising this show to me that is like a documentary through the decades, and each episode is a different decade. And that makes me think, oh, do we start, like, can we then start in the 50s and highlight, I mean, we could start, you know, many generations back, but like we only have so many weeks, and highlight people through the decades, so that we're starting with some voices and some like people who have changed the world and changed our lives, looking back over the past 70 years or so, and then landing us in contemporary who is changing the world right now.
Great.
That's cool.
Right, because like we could go back to like the 1950s, and Bayard Rustin is a great person to talk about, but he is no longer alive.
Right. I was thinking him too. That's great.
And I know that we can't chat, like with the meeting rules, we can't chat, but like I wish there was a way for us to share materials. Like I had like a picture and a couple blurbs written out. Like I just wish, like, how do I say, like, how do we coordinate materials that we would potentially send out? Or like, you know, I know we have the communications, but it's good to get, I think, the Pride Subcommittee to also look at this before it goes out, so we can coordinate, like, we're not missing any big names. And if we only have 5, but we could have 10, like, I think the more the merrier, but obviously we don't maybe not want 15, because then people are going to be like inundated. I don't want them to click unfollow.
I think that you can So I talked to Benny about that a little bit, like, even, you know, in every single email we send out, it says like, don't reply all.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like, obviously we can't reply all, but we can reply individually.
Okay.
And so either me or Elizabeth, I mean, whatever, I wonder if like one of us proofreads. Do you know what I mean? And I can confirm that with Benny too, just to make sure that that's okay. But like, you know, Danielle, like if you write something, you send it to Elizabeth and she proofreads it and it comes right back. I don't think that that breaks our collaboration rules. I get the impression that it's bigger than that, right? It's the ongoing conversation that community members can't hear or participate in.
Yeah.
Right? Does that sound right, Elizabeth?
I'm honestly not sure.
Okay.
I don't have a great familiarity with it yet. So
confirm.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Because I think as like 3 people, right, we can go away from this meeting and gather resources on our own and bring them back together to our next subcommittee meeting, which I'm more than happy to say like, cool, we're gonna have like a half-hour subcommittee meeting that like we're just gonna share resources and it's gonna be a resource dump, just so that we're making sure that we're compliant with open meeting laws, but also not like asking each other to take huge chunks out of our very busy schedules. Work and parenting and all of the other things of life, you know, fill up 24 hours very quickly.
Yeah.
But if there is a way that we can do some resource sharing correctly on email, that would be even more useful, right? Because then we can like send each other to links or bios or
and edit the text, whereas here we'd be able to show a PowerPoint. It's hard for you to be like, oh, change that to this.
Yeah.
Funky. Okay.
And I mean, Benny has a lot of experience, and as our chair is a great person. Sherry Oken also has a lot of knowledge about the like open meeting laws and what is and is not okay. So I think she also is a good person to ask like, hey, how do we do this well and make sure that we are like following expectations, but also not like over functioning.
Yeah. Okay. That's helpful. These are a lot of great ideas. I mean, I think the other thing is we could go away from this conversation, see each other again in a week, to your point, for 30 minutes and get through everything that we've talked about and assign tasks even more than we probably already have at this point. But this is all awesome.
Yeah. I love the idea of like reaching out to our Wakefield library and asking what resources they have and what knowledge they have. I have a couple of friends who are children's librarians who will probably also be able to identify some great newer picture books. Just thinking about like the picture books that are in my head are the things that I was aware of 20 years ago when I was a young adult first coming out, and was like, look at the picture books, Heather has 2 mommies, it's so great. And those are so old now and outdated.
Yeah.
And it's a great, like, yay, Leslie Newman, she's a like great standby, but there are so many more things that highlight what kids' lives look like today.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
So I'm more than happy to reach out to librarian friends, but also to, I mean, if I put an ask for like picture books out broadly to my friends and colleagues, I'm gonna get 100 books, and that'll like, I'm happy to ask for resources there from those folks.
Yeah, that's great. Todd Parr is a great author who does a whole bunch of different kinds of books around differences and that kind of thing. So I always sort of plug a good Todd Parr book, but yeah.
I also wonder if we could like generate a list. The readings have primarily focused around picture books because those are such good things to share in a read aloud. But I wonder about like generating a list that also has like juvenile fiction and young adult fiction and books for adults that just has like a few selections in each.
Yeah.
That is a like, hey, wider Wakefield community, here are some books we love that we recommend. You know, come read about people who are either like you or unlike you.
Right.
That's a good idea. And we can also we could do like a reading list. We could also do a TV show list and a movie list. We could even in maybe next year is when we would be able to do like a movie by the lake, and then we can have a discussion afterwards. But in the meantime, like, oh, here are just some suggested network media.
HRC's top 5.
Yeah. yeah. I like that. And that's something else that we could, I don't know what we have exactly on our website, if we can have like a tab of resources in addition to like commission meetings and minutes. That way it can just be like more of a resource center. But we could at least put it on our Facebook page. And then hopefully if we can get an Instagram, then we would be able to do like a link tree to these links to like say the books, for example, could be on Google Books, or we could do like, that would be a post is like the cover of one book and like a little bit about that book. And it's a suggested read, which could be a story highlight if it can even happen. So we'll see.
That, can I like plant a bug, Daniela? The like for the I don't even know if this would fit into the communication subcommittee, but the idea of having a resource list that is on the HRC's page, I see in the community Facebook groups, I so frequently see someone looking for a new primary care doctor or looking for other resources. And I wonder if that's a thing that the HRC, we may not be able to, or we might need to like send people to more generalists, because as I say this, I'm not sure that we can like as the town promote a particular individual.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if there is a way to say like, oh, here is like a website with how you can access queer and trans friendly physicians in your area. And here is a like website that highlights BIPOC dentists.
That's great.
Which is like beyond the Pride subcommittee, but might be a like good broader thing for the HRC.
Yeah, and I think if we do start something like that, we could add on a bit every month. So like, for example, if we were to start it during June, we'd have Pride on top of mind, we'd have a subcommittee to help with these resources. Then the next month, something else, you know, that's where I think like we would be able to build on this as time goes on. So it's not like this big inundating project to start with. So that's a really good idea. And you're right. We would have to be more general about it, but if those sites exist, like we can most certainly be like, here's like an easy way for you to access this. So
it feels like a great thing to like ask about in the larger HRC committee meeting. And I wanted to like say it out loud now, because otherwise it will leave my brain never to come back again.
Yeah, definitely bring it up at our next meeting. I think that's that would be great for all of us to talk about. And we may even have a bunch of us have something to put forward on it to start.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Maybe this is sort of all connected, but it would also be great to have a place where like queer kids that are just trying to figure out their world at, 11, 12, 13, whatever, up to 18, could go out to our page and say like, gosh, I'd love to figure out, where NAGLY is, or can I get involved in something, associated with glass, or like whatever it happens to be. So it would be nice if we could sort of include that in our thinking when we're putting this kind of thing together for the broader HRC.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even like over this month, if we see things, and maybe this is another question to ask about Facebook, but like if NAGLY posts an event, can we share it on our Facebook page so that kids could go to, the flag raising in Salem or PD or whatever it happens to be. Because I think that would be nice too, because I don't know what the queer community looks like in Wakefield, honestly. I know that there's 2 in my house, but I think outside of that, I'm just not sure. And so it be?
I had a hope of getting something up and running, and I have a list of 30 people with their email addresses.
Okay, that's great.
Who I don't have permission to share more broadly, but I still have hopes and dreams of pulling a thing together for a wider community, but I didn't have the capacity. My capacity this spring sort of ran out, and that's a thing I'm doing for work separate from HRC. So stay tuned. But,
yeah, that's great.
But I think, yeah, helping people connect with wider resources too, right? NAGLY just has, they're still relatively small, but they have so many more resources than we do as an organization. It would be great to be able to amplify their stuff.
Yeah. That way we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
Right.
And I think it's too late for us this year, but I'd love to figure out how, what it would take to get the town to sort of show more than the flag. So say, for example, if we had a couple of crosswalks that were rainbow, how long would that take to pass, and how long would it take to execute, are questions I'd like to get answered. So for maybe 2022, maybe the road around the lake definitely needs to be touched up. So if they're already going to touch up a road, they already need to touch up the crosswalks on it. Just something like that, where it's such a centralized location and a lot of people go to it just to show support or just some color, whatever you think about it. So I don't know who to even begin to ask those questions. I guess maybe Sherry can point in the direction if no one else in the HRC has experience in something like that.
Maybe that's part of, when we come back to the next meeting to give an update, maybe that's part of our future hopes and dreams is, we've got a list of things that we'd love to do next year. And maybe we'd like to start to plant the seed and plan for them. And here's one of those things, where do we go? And they can kind of point us in that direction.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I typed up some meeting minutes.
Yay!
I'm gonna clean them all up, and then I will send them to everyone, and then feel free to send me back edits and let me know what you think. But some takeaways, unless there was anything else that you guys wanted to add to the list.
Just if we can look at calendars and preemptively draft schedule the next meeting, but I don't know if that counts as official meeting minute stuff.
I don't know how that works, actually. I don't know if we can plan before can we tentatively plan for a date and then share a couple of other available dates with everyone?
I think so.
I think that's a good idea. I would love to be able to share it more broadly and see if other folks who wanted to are able to connect.
Okay. Yeah, because Memorial Day, I think, is that might have been why a bunch of people were, it's tough today because they're gone today through Monday. So I don't know if like the end of next week might be better, just in case some people are taking the next couple of days off.
So June 3rd in the evening is open for me. How about you guys?
I could do like, evening, like after 4.
6 or 7 work?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that too.
Okay.
So that's a good proposed time.
Exactly. And then I'll send it to the whole subcommittee as well, and then Sherry Dalton and all of that too.
Awesome.
Cool. Okay. I'm going to call the high school and have a conversation, hopefully with a faculty advisor for the GSA. I will also reach out to Maria about the tablecloth and kind of obtaining some of the Pride stuff. Danielle's going to bring the table. For Facebook and kind of book readings, I'm going to connect Daniela with Kim Ring. Daniela, does that make sense? Yeah, okay. And then I'm going to call the library and sort of chat with them about availability, maybe to film in there or to do a reading, or if they'd be interested in doing a reading on their own. Elizabeth's going to contact sort of your community and see what you can find for picture books. As a group, maybe we think about generating a list for juvenile and young adult fiction. And maybe that's the beginning of that broader resource tab, but then at least as a group, we've kind of started to put them together. We think we're going to do Show Your Pride Day on June 12th. I think, was that the day that we were thinking? Yeah, okay.
It was, yeah.
Okay. And I'll also have that conversation with the faculty advisor too, to get some ideas around if they'd be comfortable sharing that with their students. Should we start to put together like a flyer to share with the businesses and community members to do sort of Wakefield Pride and Chalk Day and that kind of thing? Yeah, okay.
That's a good idea.
Okay. So I will do that. We're going to think about profiles for the Facebook page, starting with maybe Bayard Rustin. And then for Juneteenth, we have, let's hope that week we're thinking about individuals or sort of queer folks that are interested in reading books, or, sort of giving us some ideas around books that we should be using. We're going to think about kind of that top 5 HRC media, that kind of thing as well. And then we've got some takeaways maybe for the larger HRC committee meeting, discussing kind of overall access and how we interact off of the subcommittee. So I can reach out to Benny and Sherry to figure that out. And planning for the future. So putting together like that overall resource, thinking about ways that we can have our crosswalks painted and updated next year so we can plan for that. Also kind of hoping to share some information on Facebook too. So does anyone have the Facebook login for HRC? No, okay. Daniela, I wonder if Sherry is the right person, and if Sherry's on the communications committee and you're on the does it make sense for you to have access to that?
Yeah, I think so. I think we have to have we might need a formal meeting, or I don't know, but I'll there's some emails that went by that Teresa sent, so that way we were informed of the training that she took. So I can just kind of reply to that and say, how doth one begin this?
Yeah.
This Pride Month is right around the corner, and we'll want to do something there.
Okay, perfect. And then let's see how far we get. And we're going to meet on June 3rd, we think, at 7 p.m. And we'll kind of recap everything that we've gone through. Did I miss anything?
That sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. This is awesome. We've got a great amount of stuff.
Yeah.
It feels doable. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys. Have a great Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you both. Have a good weekend.
Thank you too. Bye for now.